Welcome, everyone. We know it's great to see this crowd, and you probably heard this is our biggest attendance at this event ever. In fact, we've maxed out the room, and the hotel begged us to not ask to add any more tables. Well, we all know it's tough to be pro-life in Austin, but pro-life we are. And we all have our reasons. Someone asked me, Dr. Pojman, why are you pro-life? As if that proposition is completely ridiculous. Follow-up questions. Do you listen to Rush Limbaugh? No, Rush Limbaugh's been dead for years. Do you watch Hannity on cable? No, we don't subscribe to cable. You must read the Daily Wire. No, not regularly. Well then, why are you pro-life? Well, let me say, I am pro-life because I listen to National Public Radio, I watch PBS News, and I read the New York Times. And I see what's really going on. My wife and I raised our 4 kids in Austin. We always took them to the Texas Rally for Life when they were little, and we marched up Congress Avenue with the thousands of jubilant, joyful masses. Now, sometimes we were confronted by a handful of nasty protesters spewing venom at people, including my wife and my kids. Now, flash forward a few years, when one of my sons got a bit older, we were having a father-son talk about human reproductive anatomy. I asked my son, Alex, men have testicles. Women have ovaries. Have you ever heard of ovaries? He thought for a second and said, keep your rosaries off my ovaries. Now, does that sound like Austin? Well, I'm sure you're like me. I am proud of Texas. Who here is proud of Texas? Texas provides vast resources for women with unplanned pregnancies. By our count, Texas has some 300 pregnancy centers, maternity homes, and adoption agencies, plus countless church-based programs like Walking with Moms in Need and Embrace Grace. Making those resources known is the best defense we have against illegally trafficked abortion pills coming into Texas and out-of-state abortions. Now, as you know, our life-saving pro-life laws have been under attack in the courts and by some in the media like never before. A New York-based pro-abortion organization sued our state seeking to make abortion legal for virtually any reason, from conception to birth. Our law, the Human Life Protection Act, as you know, completely protects unborn babies from abortions, from elective abortions. The law contains a carefully crafted medical necessity exception for abortions in rare and tragic cases when the pregnancy endangers the woman's life. Now, this lawsuit, very clever, sought to expand that exception to any pregnancy because they argued any pregnancy has a risk, no matter how minute, and therefore any pregnancy qualifies for the exception in the law. Well, the case was called Zerwoski v. Texas. A district court here in Travis County agreed and expanded that exception to abortions for reasons vastly beyond the medical necessity reasons. Now, we filed 2 amicus briefs in that case. One on behalf of the majority of the members of the Texas legislature who had signed on and agreed the law is constitutional. The other brief was on behalf of the Texas Catholic Conference of Bishops, Texans for Life, a prominent pro-life group in the Metroplex, and our organization, Texas Alliance for Life. And I have some very good news to report. In a complete, unmitigated victory, the Texas Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in May to uphold our Human Life Protection Act. The babies remain protected. By the way, By the way, we elect our judges in Texas. 3 of those 9 judges are up for re-election, including Justice Devine, whom we met earlier. I am very proud of Texas. We have all heard the claim that the Human Life Protection Act endangers women's lives because doctors can't perform those life-saving abortions because the doctors fear being arrested. The opponents claim that women are either dying or are going out of state for abortions to save their lives. Well, as you will see, that claim is completely false. Before the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in Dobbs, Texas saw thousands of elective abortions each month. Okay? Now, you're not supposed to show charts with numbers, but that's for the average audience. You are way above average, right? So there were thousands of abortions every month in Texas before the Supreme Court overturned Roe. We did see also a relatively small number of abortions for those reasons to save the mother's lives, about 2 per month, mostly in cases of rupture of membranes before the baby is viable. Then it happened. The Supreme Court overturned Roe in June 2022, and the pre-Roe law in the Human Life Protection Act went into effect. Next slide. Reported elective abortions have plummeted from thousands per month to 0. Yes, 0. As Governor Abbott has said, our state's pro-life laws protect unborn babies' lives and they protect pregnant women's lives. And we have the data to prove it. Since then, doctors have reported performing 113 abortions under the exception, tragic cases each, from July 2022 through April of this year. Contrary to what certain politicians and news organizations claim, no doctor has been prosecuted, sanctioned, or sued for any of those abortions. No pregnant woman has lost her life for lack of a medical necessity exception, even with more than, can you believe it, 360,000 births in Texas every year. Now, we spent, yes, some applause. Now, we have spent a great deal of effort countering that false narrative through our social media, news releases, emails, interviews, and conventional media, reaching literally millions of people in Texas and far beyond throughout the nation. Okay, this is a summary of our reach, which I think these numbers are very impressive. Facebook, 76,000 reached. TikTok, 15,000. YouTube, 6,000. X, formerly known as Twitter, 1.6 million. News articles in which we are quoted or referenced, 53 million. Now, this is not for a year or even a month. This is an average week. Now, here's an example from a Fox News article that was just a couple weeks ago. It picked up our news release on this subject and used it almost word for word. The article reads, "Data shows Texas doctors perform abortions to save the life of the mother, despite claims from politicians and the media." I wonder which politicians they're referring to. "We are going on the offensive. We are pushing out a series of videos to educate Texas. We call it the Post-Roe Texas video series. We showed you 2 videos when we were finding our seats, and back on me, I want to see my face. We showed you 2 videos when we were finding our seats, and then a third one that you just saw, featuring some of our staff, Ashley Sosa, Amy O'Donnell, and Deirdre Cooper. We have more. Let's show that video.
Do pro-life laws put women's lives in danger?
Texas pregnancy centers are well equipped to support women, men, and their babies.
You may have heard of a controversy involving how Texas law should best handle difficult, sometimes heart-rending situations.
Without abortion in Texas, physicians will have to treat both patients, mother and child.
The minority community are the targets in the abortion industry.
We must understand and embrace the entire arc of the human person.
There is no consistent correlation between abortion and women's progress.
And all children deserve loving parents. So we ended up adopting 4 little ones.
We're pushing out this information not just in Texas, but across the nation, because Texas is so much part of the news. Yes, the general election is upon us, and just 1 month away, with early voting beginning in a couple of weeks. Perhaps the most consequential election in decades. The goal of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is to preempt our state protections with a federal law that establishes a right to abortion up to birth. What would that mean? Legal elective abortions in Texas would again skyrocket to tens of thousands a year, paid for by our tax dollars. Secret abortions on minor girls would resume. Abortion facilities in minority communities would reopen, especially targeting the Black community. CVS and Walgreens could sell abortion pills like they are doing in other states. The answer is pro-life voting, and we make it easy. Just search online for our pro-life voter guide. You type in your address anywhere in Texas, and we give you the list of pro-life vote candidates who will be on your ballot. How do we do all this? How do we do all this? Well, it takes people and money. To all the donors, volunteers, pro-life voters, we want to thank you.